Good day and welcome to Diksha. My name is Omkar and today my topic will be the Yugas or ages in Hinduism or in Sanskrit. What are the Yugas? What are they about? And a little bit of the theoretical aspect of how they function. So we've learned from Hinduism and from the Vedic traditions of the yugas. And the yugas, as we've been taught, have a very long duration. But I was thinking about it, and we, in everyday life and even in situations, experience yugas or ages. And I would like to present that concept to you today. So we'll take it to the board and we'll continue from there. So the topic for today is the yogas or the yugas. Now, the Sanskrit words are Satya Yuga, followed by Treta Yuga, followed by Dwapara Yuga, and ending with Kali Yuga. Now, as stated in our first episode, it is a Sanatan Dharmic principle that the universe functions in a cycle of yugas. And even one cycle is considered, I think it's one day of Brahma, the creator. Now, what I'm going to show you is that this cycle is not limited to the cycle of yugas in terms of ages spanning hundreds of thousands of years, but is a system of nature that influences every single aspect of time. So although Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga refer to hundreds of thousands of years, this cycle of creation, sustenance and dissolution functions on all aspects of life, even with regards to the moments or situations in a particular day. So, for example, if we broke this down and we looked at a civilization. So a civilization, and off the top of our heads we can name a few. We have the Egyptians, we have the Romans, we have the Chinese civilizations, and we even have civilizations that are currently existing, which we can even consider the American society as a civilization, because by comparison, in terms of geographical size, the North American country matches the size of the Egyptian and Roman civilization, although civilization is a term given when there's you have its own language, its own art, its own culture and philosophy. If you look at it in that way, then America qualifies as a civilization, because America has, in a way, its own art style. In a way, American English is recognized as a language. philosophy. So, civilizations, if we have a flat line, goes through a developmental stage and is built up, reaches a peak, and then falls. And over a period of time, if we were to zoom out a bit, we'll have the rise and fall of different civilizations. And instead of the graph looking like this, what we have happening is that you'll have civilizations which start at different periods of time simultaneously with the existing civilization. So while this civilization is building up, the other reigning civilization is on its decline. So you never have one civilization that falls and then no civilization exists and then another. There's always simultaneous civilizations existing. Even in today's world, India, Russia, America, and China are all, technically speaking, if we look at the classic examples, they are civilizations. Now, within the civilization structure, you will have a rise and a fall. In that rise and fall, you will have the rise of language, the rise of art, philosophy, and economy. And on the opposite end, we have the fall of the language, the art, philosophy, and economy. And these are the factors which embody what the civilization is about. Now, looking at it, there's a Satya Yuga, which is a building up, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And this may be a little off because it's closer to the peak that you'll be in between Treta and Dwapara Yuga. So, adjustment here. And these are not fixed, they're not necessarily equal in time. But the concept is that everything follows the cycle of creation, sustenance, and dissolving into the cycle. And that's the yugs in terms of being superimposed on a civilization. Now, if you look at life, life is also in cycles. So over the span of a lifetime, we, from infancy, learn, grow, maintain a period of peak, and then we begin to break down until death or dissolution. In the same way, we can say that life has yugas. So Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Now I'm not going to cover exactly what each yuga is about in terms of characteristics and pros and cons and whatever, because those are topics for, well, not this discussion, but those are great topics in themselves. All I'm trying to do is make the point that life is made up of a series or a number of yugas within yugas. If you look at a job, a particular job, When you start a job, there's a period of learning in the job, of building up. A certain point where there's a maintenance period, and a certain point where the job begins to deteriorate. You may leave that job and find a new one. And from the example earlier, there will be the simultaneous start when you realize that you need to look for a new job, the build up towards getting the new job. And this point, we could say, is the point where you decide to leave or stay. So, the yugs of being at the workplace. If we look at a relationship, it's the same example. I should probably stop erasing this chart and join it over because it's the same chart.
I had to watch the camera to a little bit. You can only watch the board and talk.
Alright. Curve bend too. Alright, well, this will work fine for relationships because relationships, they take a little time to learn. So Satya Yoga, and just like Satya Yoga being, and in the same way, Satya Yoga being the most enlightened period in existence, the beginning of a relationship is the best part. Then we have Treta Yoga, we have Dwapara Yoga, and Kali Yoga, which is the breakup phase, which is the worst part, the part of ignorance. So, even the qualities of the yogas you can see happening in everyday situations, in life situations, sorry. Now, let's look at an everyday situation where a situation arises where you meet a person, let's say a random person on the street, and you are having a conversation with that person. That conversation also has yugas, which is there is a point where there's a build-up or a learning phase, and in this yuga of that situation, it is the phase of knowledge where you learn about the person or the situation. Then there's the point of the situation, and then there's the dissolution of the situation, or the point where you begin to bring the situation to an end or the conversation to an end, and you prepare, or you both prepare to start a new situation. So, life by nature is made up of yugas, but the yugas are not isolated to eons long yugas. Any situation in your day, any conversation, any relationship, any phase in life follows the cycle. Right. So, if we were to superimpose this on a larger scale, which is one yuga, let's say Kali Yuga, because it is claimed that we are in Kali Yuga. So we'll call this Kali Yuga, or the universe. Within that, we will have the rise and fall of solar systems, rise and fall of planets, rise and fall of worlds, rise and fall of civilizations, and the rise and fall of people. So within each yuga, we have yugas within yugas within yugas infinitely. So the rise of Satya Yuga and the fall of Kali Yuga in our everyday lives, in our everyday situations, allows us moments for enjoying and moving on to the next big thing in life. Such is the nature of it. This is Omkar saying thank you for joining me on Diksha. See you next time.